Hello, my name is Breezy. This is Breezyville, and this is my podcast, Down the Rabbit Hole. Here on Down the Rabbit Hole, we like to go down. We like to explore various topics from urban legends to history to pretty much anything, really and truly. Um, we are taking a break from. We are in going to the South today. My heart of my home life. Now, I am from Alabama, born and raised, but I now live in Tennessee. But today we're going to northern Georgia. Now, there is a mountain area in northern Georgia, and it's called Fort Mountain, Fort Mountain, and Fort Montaigne. And, however, before I dive into that, make sure you're hitting that like button. You're ringing that bell for notification. You're also please subscribing to help a girl out. Today we're going to Chatsworth, Georgia, and talk about a little mountain range called Fort Mountain. It is part of the Cahuta Mountains, and it is a small northern range in the southern end of the Appalachian, and it also lies within the Chattahoochee National Forest. How many of you just went to the Alan Jackson song? Way down yonder on the Chattahoochee, never knew how much that money wanted meant to me. Okay, that's enough of my singing, terrifying your eardrums. Now, the main feature of this fort is the ancient rock formation of the ruin of uncertain origin from which the mountain takes its name. Now, I've been to Georgia several times. I've never heard of this, honest. Well, not several times. I've only ever gone through Georgia. Let me rephrase that, but it's on my mountain list. It is on my bucket list of places to go to. Now, this site lies within the Fort Mountain State Park and consists of a series of stone pilings and a long, uneven line that follows the contour of the mountainside. Now, it estimates in length can be varied. So, it is previously published at Archaeological Report by Philip E. Smith of University of Georgia, gives about 928 feet as its length, while the Georgia Department of Natural Resources estimates the length to be as 855 feet. Now, a book was published in 1987 with David Freeman discussing this and similar walls, and quote, the most experts believe that such wall enclosures were built during the Middle Woodland period, which was 100 BCE to 500 CE, when agricultural and food storage methods were established. Now, this enables people to live. Um, I'm going to pause there for a second. And it did enable people to live there in more settled existence to devote their energies to large scale building projects, while perhaps be taken to generations to complete. Now, there is a stone tower that was built by the Civilian Conservation Corps, and it's located in the park. Marks the summit of mountains, and the hiking trail around the park leads to a scenic overlook of the Cool Springs Valley. Now, this park has a mountain lake, cabins, and camping in the public facilities. There were two main crosses at Fort Mountain connecting the counties of Moray and Gilmore, Georgia, and there's a steep, curving scenic route, Georgia State Route 52, that runs east-west between Chatsworth and Elijah, affording views of the Cahuta Mountains, and there is at least one that overlooks the parking. There are organizations located on the route and that include the Fort Mountain State Park and the Global Youth Ministry that is southeast of Chatsworth, State Route 282, which crosses the mountain and is running concurrently with State Route 2 and US 76 from Rumhurst to East Elijah. Now let's talk about the history of it, because we can't talk about this without talking about the history of it. Well, the most well-known feature of the Fort Mountain is the rock formation around the crest. It is usually mentioned the ruins of an ancient fort and other man-made structures consisting of stone piles without mortar. Local stories sometimes attribute its construction to the Cherokee, but published sources date its construction to a more ancient culture of indigenous peoples. Now, Georgia's Department of Natural Resources states that the mysterious 855-foot long wall is thought to have been built by early Indians as fortifications against more hostile Indians and from ancient ceremonies. Now, Rome News Tribune is an article by Stacy McCann in 1994, and saying that the anthropologists attribute the wall's construction to the people in the Middle Woodland area. Now, the site was placed on National Register of Historic Places in 1977 for its archaeological potential as the information about prehistoric eras. Now, there are other theories as the origin of the stone piles that comprise the wall. Stone formations may occur naturally, caused by the thrust and make the ridge crest during the mountain's formation. In the 19th century, people speculated that Hernando de Soto. Why does that name sound familiar? Well, if we know our history, who was who was one of the people that explored this area? That's right. Now, it is a fort to defend against the Creek people around 1540. In 1879, George Little, Georgia State geologist, published a description of the state's mountain, including Fort Mountain, the Carterville Free Press. He referred to the fortifications erected by De Soto and his followers as they drained to the Mississippi, in a theory contradicted as early as 1917. As historians pointed out that De Soto was in the area for less than 2 weeks. One persistent legend attributes that Fort Mountain pals to the race of the Moon Eye people said to predate the Cherokee. Now, such stories were picked up by historians and were made their way to the park's histories, tourism brochures, and markers. Now, Fort Mountain State Park it's 3,700 acres, and approximately give or take. Now, it is between Chatsworth and Elijah on Fort Mountain, and the state park was founded in 1938 and is named for an ancient 885-foot long rock wall on the peak. Now, nomination formed for the National Register of Historic Places described the places. More on the marker than the fortification, separating the North Peak from the southern end. Now, history. Now, the Fort Mountain National State Park is officially opened in 1936, and the land was donated by Ivan Allen Sr. The park was originally in 1930 acres. The civilian conservation was built many of the park's facilities. Um, what was I? Oh yeah. The civilian corporation built many of the states, such as the stone fire towers, the lake, um, and many more. And now let's talk about the ancient wall, shall we? Well, the state park derived from the name from its ancient 885-foot long, and it is the zigzagging contains pits scattered along the wall from the surrounding regions around the summit. In a 1956 archaeological report concluded that only the structure represents prehistoric aboriginal construction whose precise age of nature cannot yet be safely hazard until the whole problem is the representative. Now, there are several legends concerning the wall, such as one legend which claims that the remnant um, of one wall is a several stone fort in the Maldoc region. Now, the area has been related to a Moon-Eyed people of the Cherokee lore. Another job I didn't get. Okay, sorry guys. He's trying so hard to get an office job, and yet you realize it's harder than you. It's hard. Anyway, the speculations of the wall origins have been fortification of Hernando de Soto's conquistadors and a honeymoon a haven for Cherokee newlyweds, and a plague mentioned during the Madoc Welsh legend of the moon-eyed Indians was in the park, but has been removed. Now, a young man in the photo visited the site in 19 the historic site in Georgia called Ford Mountain with friends, and he asked them to take a photo while hiking. While his friends took the photo, he screamed and fainted, and then 2 days later, he died in a hospital. The doctor says he died from a heart attack. Now, while the photos were developed, um, there was a woman standing next to a young man and the friends, even though his friends said there was no one there with him in the photo when the photo was taken. Now, many people have said that this rumor is to be the result of a blessing of technology. Now, still, the photo is very mysterious, and I feel like when you feel it at the same time, yeah. That is it for this episode. Join me next time as we talk about the curse of the haunted pillar. I'll see y'all next time. Y'all have a great day.